So, one of the most famous zombie movies? Let's see how it is. Hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to 28 Days Later. And I want to start this off with something a little funny here. So, today's the 25th. Normally, I record movie reactions for Saturdays and Sundays. If I were recording this for like a normal reaction week, this would be going up on Sunday. Because at this point, I would have already recorded the Saturday movie. And Sunday is the 28th. So that would have been really funny. That would have been really funny for this to go up on the 28th of the month. I think that would have just been a really fun little thing. But we're doing it for our movie week, so it is going up today on Thursday the 25th. So yeah. Same day I'm recording. So this is a donation for Venom. And for those of you who are new to the channel or just don't know what's going on here, hi, for one. My name is Connie. I run this channel. I also run a gaming channel called Princess of Gay, Ming. And both channels feature this level of awkwardness. But in all seriousness, at the end of every month, on this channel, on this main channel, I do something called the end of the month movie week. Due to the influx of donation rewards I get, which is an entirely different system, I do an entire week, Monday through Friday, of film reactions instead of my normal schedule, which is Saturday and Sunday every week. So alongside all the series reactions I do on the channel, you also get another movie reaction every day. But that just means there won't be any movie reactions this Saturday and Sunday. So the theme for this month's movies were films that have numbers in the title, like integrated into the title, not just like, oh, this movie here, 2, to signify that it's a sequel. No, it's like the number is part of the title. So 28 Days Later is a representation of that. Now, this movie, I think I already said it, but just to reiterate, is donated for by Venom, so thank you as always, Venom. And this movie is one of the most popular zombie movies. And I think the newest one just came out. Wasn't the newest one 28 years later? Because I think every movie kind of ups the time frame. It's 28 days later, 28 weeks later, 28 years later. And so it's the newest one just came out, I believe. And there was this entire thing about this zombie in it that looked like Cillian Murphy. And people were wondering, is that Cillian Murphy? Was not him, actually. But yeah, I'm very curious to see what this is like, because I've never seen these movies. I don't really know entirely what they're about other than just zombie apocalypse. I can assume from the title that this takes place probably 28 days into the apocalypse. I assume that's kind of the entire nomenclature point of the title. It's a literal representation of that. We might even start the movie at the beginning of it and then skip to 28 days later. That's probably what it's going to do. So I've seen many zombie movies, and I've seen ones that have been both good and bad. And I've seen a lot of them that are just kind of generic. And my favorite zombie movie is Train to Busan. It's not even really close. But what I like from a zombie movie is for a movie to use its, thematics of zombies and whatnot in order to share themes and messages while also giving us, an engaging and to some degree scary story. And I feel like there's plenty of those out there that use the themes to, tackle corporations and whatnot, like when those are usually the cause of it, or tackle like human connections and everything. The Walking Dead tackles that a lot, and various other themes and messages here and there. Obviously, Train to Busan tackled things such as corporate overreach, but also familial connections was huge in that. And some zombie movies have tackled things such as race, which I think is, obviously important. Dawn of the Dead, I believe it was, that I reacted to past few months or so on this channel. That one was like one of the first big zombie movies, and is like considered the zombie movie. And considering when it came out, I was thinking it was going to be like, oh, this is going to be like maybe good, but not like as amazing as everyone says. No, it was as amazing as everyone says. It was actually really fucking good. Also, surprisingly graphic for its time. For the time period it came out, it was like surprisingly really graphic and intense. And that caught me very off guard. But now we're into this, and this came out in 2002, I think it is. So just over 20 years ago. And I'm very curious to see like what kinds of things this touches on, how the zombies are portrayed, because sometimes zombies are, the standard like slow, shambling, falling apart type zombies. In Dawn of the Dead or Day of the Dead, whatever the fuck one, the first one was, the George A. Romero one. There's so many of the Dead movies, it's hard to keep track of which is which by name sometimes. But it's like in that one, they were more like just like humans with like makeup to make them look like they're slightly rotting. Sometimes zombies are fast, sometimes they are more violent and like will like pile over each other to get to their victims, like in World War Z or even Train to Busan. They're like a lot more like intense. Sometimes they just like, again, shamble and like everything. Sometimes they're very twitchy. Sometimes they like jerk around really suddenly. It's like there's all kinds of different forms of zombies. And I don't know, like again, I've only seen like the image of that one that everyone said looked like Cillian Murphy. So it's like that's not really a lot to go off of. But yeah, I'm very curious to see what they do with it here, because I feel like there could be a lot of great discussions that this could forge. And I just want to see why this series is so popular. On top of that, um, I don't know offhand who's in this. I might have heard in the past, but it's not coming to my head now. So I don't know who's in this, and I'm just hoping to enjoy it. I will tell you one thing before we get this started. Um, one thing to note is that there's another movie that I've in the past gotten this one mixed up with, and I don't do that as much anymore. Like I've differentiated them, but it's another movie I've never seen, and I know it's popular. And the funny thing is, it's not even a zombie movie. But the titles, I guess, are close enough to where it's like my mind has mixed them up in the past. Have you ever heard of a movie called 30 Days of Night? Um, I believe it's about like vampires in Alaska or something like that. Never seen that one either, by the way. I think there's a couple of those too. I think there's like two or three of those. Um, but yeah, it's like that's one I've heard of a little bit more. And I have seen some more like screenshots and stuff of that one than I have of this. But yeah, I used to get their names mixed up because like their names are kind of similar. 28 days later, 30 days of night. They're close. Even the numbers are like only two numbers away. So, but yeah, that's another one I just have never gotten around to seeing. There's a lot of movies that I just surprisingly haven't seen, which, mind you, is good for the channel. It means I have plenty to react to. But yeah, um, just thought that was a fun little fact to give you before you got this started. So let's get into this and see what this movie has in store for us. Hold up just a sec. Before you click that link down in the description below to get to today's video, I want to remind you of all the awesome content we have both on this channel and the Princess of Gaming channel. Let's check it out. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, if George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead is considered the zombie movie, like the quintessential zombie movie, I would say to most fans, 28 Days Later is probably considered the revival of the genre. It is considered the more modern generation's quintessential zombie film. And it's hard to argue with that after seeing this. I understand why, with so many great emotional, heartfelt powerhouse performances in this. But I want to start these afterthoughts off by expressing my one major flaw with this film. This film is slow, and it is boring at times. And I'm not going to be one of those people who are like, oh, there's not enough zombie action in this movie. That's not the issue. The issue isn't that it didn't have enough zombie action. It's that there was long stretches of the film where nothing interesting was happening. Like long stretches of like their road trip and everything to get to this barricade, to get to the military and everything. There's good stretches where it's just like nothing's really occurring. And then you'll suddenly get like this one moment where something happens, and then a long stretch of nothing happening again. Once we get to the military, once like we get to the barricade, it really picks up there, and everything from that point forward is like really, really good. But there are some stretches where it's just kind of boring. And I understand like you have like this desolate country, this desolate island where everyone is either dead or like in these little pockets of survivors. And I understand that because of that, it is going to feel, sorry about the sun, by the way, it is going to feel very empty. But there's a lot of movies that, and zombie media in general, that are able to do that without making it feel boring. And I feel like there wasn't enough during those scenes to make it really interesting. Not enough, like, either dialogue or thought-provoking stuff or whatnot. And it does feel a bit slow at those times. It never becomes bad. Like, it never gets to the point where I'm, like, not interested in continuing or whatnot. But it does weigh on you a little bit. At least on me. Um, I would say probably my favorite scene of this movie, and I have no idea how popular or unpopular this is going to be, is when Hannah's father turns. The shot of the drop of blood falling from that body up there and landing in his eye, and the subsequent fear and panic, and him trying to push Hannah away to get her like safe from him, and then him turning and them like freaked out and like worried about having to kill him, and basically leading up to when he gets shot up by the military and all. That scene is so masterfully done. Because you feel the emotion, because you've gotten to care about this character too. You've gotten to like him as well. Brendan Gleeson did an amazing job with it. He's such a great actor. He's good in everything. Like, he is good in everything he is. I think the most recent thing I've seen him in was in Paddington 2, where he was the cook at the prison, and he was so good in that. He was so fun, and he was great in this too. Um, he just is this really likable father character who you just bond with so well as a viewer, and so when he's taken, it means something. It's just as upsetting to you as it is for these other characters. And again, the shot of the blood dropping into his eye is so well shot. And there's some parts of this movie that aren't well shot. There is some like really weird shot composition at points in this. So it's like the fact that that was so well done, it does stand out. On top of that, I feel this movie also just like it did good with the zombies. It understood how to make the zombies terrifying. One, these are not slow zombies. These are not shamblers. These are frantic, aggressive, very active zombies. And that, in my opinion, makes them scarier. Some people find the slower ones scarier, and I've never entirely understood that. Because it's like, I feel like when they're slower and stuff, it's easier to get away from, easier to like figure out ways to escape them or to beat them away. But when they're fast, when they're like violent and vicious and aggressive, to me, that's scarier because that will make them harder to fight off of you. That'll make them harder to escape from. Because they're not going to be held back by, natural human reservations. Like, they're going to be using all of their strength, all of their speed. They're going to be going all out. The only thing they're really not going to have is, like, the intellect. And I like that we get the origin of the zombie virus in this, how it originated from animal testing and everything. I think that was it's a pretty standard origin for a zombie thing, to have it be like some kind of lab test and all. A really safe, easy way to do it. And speaking of safe, easy ways to do things, this movie, I know it came out in 2002, but this trope definitely existed prior to that for zombie movies. The entire thing about like finding a settlement and that settlement ending up being bad in the end, and more of an active threat than expected. It's such a trope. The Walking Dead has done it, both the video games and the show, and I assume the comics as well. Everything has done it. Like, for Train to Busan, I would say Train to Busan didn't really do it. Like, because they're on the train for the most part. I guess the only thing you could consider being like the little haven they try to find is that one train station they stop at. But I mean, that was never going to be a permanent thing anyway. So Train to Busan kind of like flips that around. Um, and Night of the Living Dead, the original, I mean, there's the house, but it doesn't really end up being like an active danger. Like, yeah, there are kind of some assholes there, but it's not really an active danger in the same way that something like this is, or like the various places you see in The Walking Dead. Again, no matter which Walking Dead media you're talking about. It's like you find all the. It's like the survivors always find this location. It seems idyllic. Seems like everything has like good defenses. They have food. You know what this very specifically makes me think of? If you've ever played the Telltale Walking Dead game, I want to say it's season 2. I think it's season 2. Um, where they go to Carver's settlement. If you've played the games or seen the games played, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know exactly who Carver is. They go to Carver's settlement, and it's, again, it seems like it's an idyllic place. It has all this, you know, all these defenses, like has people trained with guns around the perimeter. They have they're growing their own food. They have a lot of stores of food and medicine and stuff. But you soon find out Carver is this like authoritarian asshole, and this place is run in a very horrifically bad way. And it's not good. It's not good at all. So you find out like, oh, this is not really much better of a place to be. I mean, you don't really got the zombies, but you're not in a good situation either. And so this kind of reminds me of that. They're searching out this because they hear the radio broadcast, and it sounds all good. It's like, oh, we have the cure and everything. They don't. They don't have any actual cure. It's just their bullshit. And so they go there, and it looks nice at first, like nice food for the most part, except for the omelets, I guess. I mean, it's no cannibalism shit, which, by the way, that also happened in the Telltale game. That was a crazy episode of season 1. That I will always remember that episode of season 1, both because of how well it's written and enacted and everything, but also how horrifying it is. It's so intensely like freaky. But yeah, it's nothing like that. But the eggs went bad and everything, and food is just scarce in the first place. And it seems like a little off. And then you have like the big like, culling at night. The zombies start coming, so they start taking them out. And you think at first, okay, these guys are just pumped up on like adrenaline and machismo. They just killed all these zombies, so they're feeling very manly. And so when they start to go after her, it's like, okay, stop with your bullshit. Calm yourself the fuck down. This is not good. But it doesn't seem like it's like a big sign of much until West reveals. It's like, oh no, I promised them women. This was always the plan. Basically sex slaves. That's basically what it amounts to. And it's like, yeah, we're getting the fuck out of here. Does not work out. He ends up escaping, coming back to get them, and taking out all the soldiers as well. Luring a lot of them out of there in the first place. And yeah, it's fucked beyond belief, but it's such a good climax at the same time. And Hannah getting doped out of her fucking gourd is like, there's a little bit of a humor to it, but it's also like really uncomfortable because it puts her in danger and everything. So you're scared for her like the entire time. Also, we knew the pet zombie, I don't remember his name, we knew he was going to be involved, and we knew that was going to be part of the downfall of this place. But what's most interesting to me is the ending. I want to talk about that here. Because at the end, we see that they've been trying to like flag down this plane that's like doing these pass-bys through the area they're in, and they finally like worked on sewing together this sign saying hello and basically signaling. So when Hannah hears the plane coming, they bring out the sign and they get the attention. So apparently this means that someone is out there. Um and the one military guy who kind of rebelled against the rest of them for their bullshit, he was saying something about like, oh, we're quarantined on this island. The outside world is fine. They handled it all. Um which, mind you, the way he was saying it, everything sounded like insane ramblings, especially since we were already told earlier on that like the last broadcasts that had gone out had stated that the virus had been like already discovered in, what was it, New York and Paris, I believe. And so you just don't believe him at the time. But then when you see this plane flying overhead and at the ending with like, a positive, hopeful ending, it's like you kind of wonder, what if he was right? What if this is a case where the zombie outbreak and everything was relegated entirely to the UK? And it got out a little bit through people, escaping the UK, but they managed to quarantine and handle it before it could actively do much else. That would be fascinating. But that would also raise questions as to like how the other two movies are going to go. With again, 28 weeks later and then 28 years later. So it's like you kind of got to wonder. There's also the question that's brought up by West. It's like with the entire pet zombie thing, it's like, oh, we're going to see how long we can starve them out, basically. Because the thing is about these zombies, they're not dead. This is actually a very big distinction between these and a lot of other zombies. These are zombies, these are infected that are turned while alive. They do not come back after death. The virus will only affect living tissue, and it only affects them if the blood gets into their system, like through any kind of orifice or through a bite. It's really simplistic, but that's all it is. It is a virus that basically causes the person to become rageful, to become uncontrolled. Basically, their body and mind is taken over by this violent rage. But we also know they can speak. We heard that child zombie, the one that Jim had to kill, he spoke to him. Most of the zombies, like, just they growl and like yell and stuff because zombies. But like we do have like actual evidence that they have the ability to speak. They're technically not zombies in the traditional sense. They're not undead. They are living. They are alive. They're just infected with a virus that causes them to, rage. To become these violent, rageful, uncontrollable shells of humanity. And by all accounts and everything, they are zombies. Like this is absolutely a zombie film. It's just a different kind of zombie than you typically see. It's not like a Walking Dead kind of zombie. So that is very fascinating. Because it definitely, with the fact that these are living people, they can be starved. And like we even see zombies at the end who look like they're emaciated and everything. Like, they look more like your stereotypical zombies where they're like all skin and bones and stuff. You see them like on the road and everything as the plane is going by, just barely able to react. Because again, they're alive. They've just been starving, so they can't really act on their rage anymore. It's such a fascinating, like, different version of zombies that I mean, I can guarantee has been done before. I just can't give you specific examples. But yeah, it's kind of like how, like, with The Last of Us, both the game and the show, it's like The Last of Us is 100% a fucking zombie series. Again, game or show series, doesn't matter what you're talking about. Like the infected in The Last of Us, the clickers, the um the big fat explodey boys, I can't remember their names at the moment. You know what I'm talking about. But all of them, they are zombies. But they're a different kind of zombie. They're a more unique branch of the overall zombie archetype that are more original for that series based off of, the real life cordyceps fungus. It's really fascinating that they took a real life situation, a real life thing that happens to, like, ants and stuff, and, like, made a zombie thing out of it. But they're not like your stereotypical zombies, but they're still zombies. They're like abso-fucking-lutely. And so it's like this is very much the same thing. It's like it's not like the most stereotypical, like, zombies that you normally think of, but they are still zombies. But they're also living zombies. So that's very fascinating to me. Now, I don't know if the sequels to this are like a direct continuation of the storyline, or if it's more like, oh, this takes place in the same world, just the same situation, but different characters. I don't know. And I don't want you to tell me, so no spoilers, please. Because I will be reacting to the others eventually. But yeah, this was good for the most part. Like I said, it was a little slow at times. It got a little boring. There were parts that were just like really draggy, but for the most part, it was good. And again, once they got to that barricade, it picked up from there, and it never, like, looked back. I also really did like the supermarket scene where they found the supermarket that was still fully stocked. It's like the music and everything had like this whimsical joy about it, because it's like that's the kind of feeling you would have if you were living in a zombie apocalypse and you come upon that. Oh yeah, you are going to be celebratory as fuck. Also, like, the dad, like, wanting to get the really good fancy liquor and, like, grabbing every bottle he could of it. It's like, yeah, in that situation, I would be doing the same. Getting the best damn whiskeys I could get, the best rums, the best vodkas. Absolutely. Like, hey, we don't have to pay. You don't have to worry about any of that shit. Get as much as you can. They didn't get any frozen stuff, even though there was still electricity there, so I assume the freezers were still good. But they also said don't get anything that has to be cooked, so maybe that's why. Though there's some stuff in the freezer section you could get that doesn't have to be cooked. You could get, like, frozen vegetables and stuff like that. You just have to wait to thaw out. It's like that'll just take some time, and it's like at that point it's like, hey, we have veggies. There's definitely stuff you could get. But they were mostly getting, like, packaged stuff that they could just easily open and partake of and whatnot, which is fair. They did grab, it looked like the dad was grabbing the apples because it looked like that batch of them were good, while pretty much everything else had already rotted. But yeah, it's like grab anything you can in that kind of situation, because it's like that is a godsend for sure. Outside of the pacing being a little off, I do kind of wish that Jim killing the kid, the child zombie, had more of an effect on him. Because the thing is, they bring it back up when he's talking to West. West is like, have you had to kill anybody? You wouldn't have survived if you didn't. And he's like, oh, I killed a kid. And he's like, well, you had to, right? And it's like, it's acting like this is some big thing he's been struggling with, but he just didn't. He never struggled with that. That was never something he had like laid away thinking about or anything. So it just felt weird to act like that was some kind of big moment for him, you know? It didn't like really hurt anything. It was just a little weird. But yeah, overall, like there was a lot of good to this. There was some pacing issues, but I did still enjoy it. And I can definitely see why this reinvigorated the genre, especially with the unique take on it. And I hope that 28 weeks later and 28 years later end up really being as good. I've heard since 28 years later just recently came out, I have heard some people talking about it. And I've heard, like, I haven't heard spoilers, but I've heard there is one camp who thinks it's really, really good. Like, one of the best horror movies of the year. Not necessarily on the level of Sinners, but still really, really good. And then there's another camp who are just not impressed with it. They don't necessarily think it's one of the worst out there, but they are not into it. And so it's like, okay, a pretty divisive movie. I could be on either end of that, but we'll have to wait to get to that point until we, you know, are able to reach that one. We still have to get to weeks first, so yeah. We'll get to that eventually. And in the meantime, tell me in the comments below, what did you think of 28 Days Later? Again, no spoilers for the future movies. But for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.